My name is Cesar Chavez. You know me as the voice of Mexican Americans, and for starving myself for over 25 days to promote better working conditions for my people. But there's a lot more you don't know about me. I was born on March 31st, 1927, in Yuma, Arizona. While growing up, speaking Spanish was forbidden, so when my parents enrolled me in school, my name had to be changed from Cesario to Cesar because of racism. We eventually moved to California, where I moved schools many times. I had to move schools over 38 times. But while in school, I was ridiculed for my poverty and skin color. I even witnessed my family being rejected from establishments because they weren't white. I worked with my parents in agriculture during the weekends to help my parents make ends meet, before finally dropping out in 8th grade to help support my parents financially. Being a young, innocent kid, I didn't understand the racism against people with my skin color until I started getting older and I noticed how the injustices we as Latinos experienced. I knew I wanted to make a change, but I didn't know how to make it happen yet. My family moved to Delano, California, a farm town in the Central Valley. That's when I decided enough is enough. I created the National Farm Workers Association. I wanted it to be a trade union for agricultural workers, but I told people I was just conducting a census of agricultural workers to determine their needs. After gathering a lot of hard-working, undocumented workers from the fields, I finalized the association on September 30th, 1962. That same year, the Attorney General of the United States, Robert Kennedy, offered to make me the head of the Peace Corps for part of Latin America. It would have meant a big house with servants and all the advantages for my children. Instead, I turned down the job in exchange for a life of self-imposed poverty, because if my people have to suffer, so do I. Members of my association began paying their dues of $3.50 a month, and with that we adopted our motto of Viva la Causa. We established an insurance policy for our members, a credit union. We doubled our income by the next year, and as we became bigger, we planned our first strike against the biggest companies, abusing laborers, Mount Arbor and Conklin. We struck them on May 3rd, 1965, and after 4 days, the companies agreed to raise wages, and that's when my reputation began to take off. A couple months later, we were about to protest an even bigger strike, the Delano Grape Strike, led by Filipino-American farm workers. We aided them, and we planned to make a change for all agricultural farm workers within an area of 400 miles or 1,000 kilometers. We began to be provoked and threatened by the companies, but I encouraged our people to never respond with violence. We began to cover the media because of our movement. The FBI even launched an investigation into my association and me. We began national media attention when Walter Reuther, the leader of organized labor for the United Automobile Workers, joined our strike. He founded our association by donating $5,000 a month to be shared between the Filipino Farm Workers Association and ours. In February 1968, I began a fast and starved myself for over 25 days to increase the wages and better the working conditions. After 3 weeks passed, doctors urged me to end my fast. As they knew I was close to dying from starvation, I agreed to do so on March 10 at a public event. I invited Robert Kennedy, the Attorney General of the United States at the time, to be the guest of honor in this event. Thousands of people arrived as well as the national press, and they watched Kennedy and me share a piece of bread, breaking my first ever fast of 25 days. Not long after, Kennedy announced he was going to be running for President of the United States under the Democratic Party. I traveled across California urging farm workers and Democrats to support Kennedy. Kennedy ended up winning the Californian vote. It was at a victory celebration in Los Angeles that Kennedy was assassinated by a Palestinian-Jordanian man who wanted revenge after he publicly announced his support for Israel following the 1967 war. By 1970, our Delano Grape Strike was finally over after we managed to get even higher wage rises and a health plan with better safety measures regarding the use of pesticides in labor work. I managed to change the lives of millions of undocumented Hispanic labor workers, and my birthday became a federal holiday. Now, you know what I accomplished, but did you know that